Perik Lamed Beis Posuk Yud. Vayom Yaakov was saying that Yaakov prepared for three things when he heard that his brother Esau was coming to wage war against him. He prepared for tefillah, milchama, for war, and he gave a doron, a gift. Vayom Yaakov, Elokei Ovi Avraham, Elokei Ovi Yitzchok. He's referring to Hashem as Ovi Avram Velke Ovi Yitzchok. Earlier, when he referred to Hashem regarding his father, he referred to him as Pachad Yitzchok. Although when Hashem gave him the guarantee, he said Elokei Yitzchok, Yaakov did not refer to Hashem's relation with his father as Elokei Yitzchok. Rashi addresses this. It's the Medrash. So let's take a look in Rashi. Elokei Ovi Yitzchok. Later, Yaakov refers to Hashem's relation with his father as Pachad Yitzchok, the one who his father feared. He mentions again the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. This is what Yaakov said to Hashem. You gave me two guarantees. First, when I left Beersheba, she's only quoting God himself, the way he referred to himself, his relationship with his father, which is Elokei Yitzchok. And you said to me, I will watch over to you wherever you go, based love on. And when in the house of Lavan, when he had the communication, the prophecy, when he told him to return, Amartli Shuv Eretz Avosecha, Martcha Veyimach, V'sham Nikleis Olai, B'shem Yuchad Levado, and that's what he says. Hashem Omer Elai Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shem B'yuma Hashem El Yaakov Shuv El Eretz Avosecha, V'shnei Avtochos Elo Ani Bo Lefonecha. So it's very interesting. So he's quoting God the way he said it to him, and the guarantee, and therefore that's the basis for his supplication. However, the way it's cited in Shulchan Aruch, when one stands during the Shmona Esrei, the Amidah, and you have the audience with Hashem, it should be Ka'oni Omer ala Pesach, like a poor man standing at the entrance of a person's home, seeking alms, seeking support. It's with a level of humility. Okay? Meaning, what is humility? I'm not worthy, because a person's poor, unfortunately, he has to come on to the other person's support. But if a person is poor and he comes with an arrogance, it's not the way you request. I mean, you have to recognize, without Hashem providing, you have nothing. So to stand and demand demands of God, immediately you put yourself in a very compromised position not to be responded to. So when you stand in the Amidah and you have the audience with Hashem, it should be Ka'oni Omer ala Pesach, like a poor man standing at the entrance of your so-called potential supporter. So here, we'll see in a moment. Here he's saying to Hashem, you promised me, you guaranteed me. And the next moment he says, Kototi kol hachasodim. But maybe, even though you gave me the guarantee, maybe it no longer stands because I've been minimized, because all the chesed and all the unlimited level of kindness that you provided. We'll see in a moment, because it seems to be contradictory. Here he's coming, supplicating based on the guarantee, and the next moment he says, Katoti b'kol hachasodim u'mikol ha'emes. I've been minimized. I've become lessened because of all the chasodim and all the emes asher osises avdecha that you've done with your servant. Ki b'makli avarti esayadi nazeh, because I crossed the Jordan only with my walking stick. Because as a result of Eliphaz taking everything from him, he came literally as a pauper, the shirt on his back and his walking stick. And now look what I have. I have two camps. He divided his assets and his family into two camps. So I've come from nothing, and look what I've become. So maybe as a result of that, I've been minimized, and therefore I'm not worthy of the original guarantee any longer. I mean, here he's coming, the basis for my supplication is you gave me a guarantee. But simultaneously, he's expressing his humility because maybe I'm no longer worthy. Because he says, he refers to himself, he says, Asher asisa la'avdecha, all the kindness and the truth that you've done on behalf of your Eved, your servant. What do you mean? Yaakov is the most special of all the patriarchs, but just the contrary. Special as you are, you have to recognize that whatever you have, it's only because God gives it to you. So that's the humility of Yaakov. So here he's coming, he's the basis for supplication gave me a guarantee. However, but you never know, maybe kotonti. So Rashi says, what's kotonti? Nismatu zchuyosai. My merits have been minimized due to all the chesed that you've done with me. Therefore, I'm afraid. Maybe since you've given me the guarantee, I've become soiled with sin. So I have a little bit of a question over here. He says, due to all the chesed you did with me, therefore I'm worried, maybe since you promised me, I become soiled with sin. What does one thing have to do with another? I mean, if a person is soiled, you're soiled. You're not worthy. What does one thing have to do with another? Now, there's a pasuk in Shmuel, in Prophets, where the pasuk says, Ragli Chasidav Yishmor. God watches over the feet of the Hasidim. What does that mean? So Rabbeinu Bachya writes in Chumash, explains that a person is a professional runner. And he knows exactly, he's cognizant of the terrain and every step he takes. But over an extended period of time, it's inevitable that he's going to experience a sports injury. Because we don't have 100% cognizance, and there's a moment you may not be aware, and you may sustain that sports injury. Ragli Chasid of Yishmor, but if you're a Chosid, Hashem watches over you. Even what's inevitable to happen doesn't happen to the Chosid. That's Ragli Chasid of Yishmor. Okay? Now, Rabbeinu, the Orach Chaim HaKadosh explains, we find that Nadav Avihu, the two sons of Aaron, was struck down on the 8th day of the permanent erection of the Mishkan. This is when they were installed as Kohanim. And why were they struck down? So there's a question, was it because they brought an alien fire? Is it because they drank a small amount of wine and they were not qualified to do the avoda? That's why they were struck down? That's a question. But Moshe Rabbeinu tells us in Dvarim that the reason why Aaron lost two sons, that Moshe says, I prayed on behalf of Aaron, and I nullified 50% of the decree. Aaron, as much as he didn't participate in idolatry, but factually, he participated in the making of the golden calf, and therefore he had culpability. And he deserved that he should lose all four sons. Moshe's tefillah annulled 50% of the decree. Therefore, he only lost two of the four sons, rather than all four sons. This is what Moshe says to the Klal Yisrael. By reviewing all that transpired over the 40 years, that my tefillah annulled 50% of the decree. So the obvious question is, Nadav Avihu's children were adults when they were struck down. An adult does not assume responsibility for the sins of the father. So over here, what is Moshe saying? In truth, he should have lost all four sons, and he only lost two of the four because my tefillah nullified 50% of the decree. That's number one. Secondly, it says explicitly the reason why they were struck down was because either they gave a ruling in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu, they brought the alien fire, or they had drunk wine. So how do we reconcile it? So Orach Chaim HaKadosh answers that if Nadav Avihu die, what level of pain does that cause their father? Nadav Avihu were the upcoming future leaders of Klal Yisrael. They were most special. This was their only sin. So to lose such sons, what level of grief and pain did Aaron have? We can't even relate to what that pain was. But why did Aaron deserve that pain? He deserved that pain because he participated in the gathering of the gold for the Egel, for the Chet Egel. Therefore, he deserved that pain. What level did he deserve initially? The pain of losing all four sons. Moshe Rabbeinu's tefillah nullified 50% of that decree. Therefore, he only experienced 50% of that pain by losing his two oldest sons, Nadav and Avihu. Okay? But factually, the question is, even Nadav and Avihu, they made a mistake. They ruled in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu. If they would have had the clarity, they wouldn't have done what they did. They wouldn't have brought the alien fire. They would have been cognizant. They wouldn't have drunk the wine. Why did they have that blind spot? Why did they merit that special protection? Not due to themselves, due to the merit of the father. Because if they make that mistake, the father's going to suffer a level of grief and pain not to be understood. It should be Ragli Chasid of Yishmar. The merit of Aaron should have protected the children not to make the mistake they made. They would have merited the Shmira in the merit of their father. The answer is the father wasn't worthy of that. Why? Because he had to experience that level of pain. But factually, why did they die? Because they made the mistake they made. So they died on their own accord, either because they gave a ruling in the presence of Moshe Rabbeinu, which was considered disrespect, or they brought the alien fire, or they had drunk the wine. But otherwise, if Aaron wouldn't have been deserving of this level of pain, the schus of Aaron would have protected them, that they would have that level of clarity not to make the mistake they made. So what Yaakov is saying is like this: from the time you promised me, I had tremendous merit. In the merit of that merit, it's the concept Ragli Chasid of Yishmar. I had that level of clarity, and because of that, I wouldn't have become soiled with sin. But because my merit has been minimized, therefore maybe I don't merit that special divine protection to have that special level of clarity not to sin. Therefore, I'm concerned that maybe, although I'm not aware that I did sin, but there is such a possibility. He says, why? Because my schus, my merit, has been minimized. Therefore, I don't merit that special divine protection, which is that level of clarity. He uses the word no. Please save me from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esav. What is this reiteration? Yarochi, Yaakov only has one brother. What does he have to say, Miyad Esav? Why? Ki yori osi anochios. I'm afraid of him. Pen yovo vikani emal bonim. He will smite me, the mothers with the children. He will kill my wives and he will kill my children. That's what he's concerned about. Rashi, Miad ochi sheinoeg imi kach. Why is he beseeching Hashem to protect him from his brother? The answer is because he doesn't behave like a brother, but rather he's behaving like Esav. El Kesav Arosha. However, you take a look at the Midrash says something interesting. The level of deception of Esav, the level is not to be believed. We said earlier that why did Yitzchak not know of the evil of Esav? I mean, Lavan, as much as he was a charlatan and a deceptor, and he's a Ramai, and he was the expert in this area, he paled in the presence of Esav. Esav is the ultimate in this area. And therefore, if Shem would have informed Rivka of the reality of Esav, even Rivka, who comes from that background, wouldn't have fully appreciated how evil Esav was. She only understood and believed and knew what he was, that he's the representation of evil due to the communication which Shem had shared with her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known. Therefore, it was impossible to know Esav. Now, the Midrash says something unbelievable. Nobody understood Esav the way Yaakov did. This is Esav's son of Yaakov. When he's going now, and he may have to battle his brother, Esav had the ability, even though you know he's your arch enemy, when you meet him, he may give you a sense of security and he'll exude a level of warmth and love to you. But while he's doing that, that's only to what? To disarm you. And the moment he feels you're disarmed, he kills you on the spot. This is what he was concerned. Yeah, Miadoch, I know my brothers, but my brother is Esav. And because he's Esav, he has that ability of guile, of deception, that he put me at ease, believing that he's what? He's my confidant or confidant, whatever he is. And at that moment of vulnerability, that's when he'll kill me. This is Miadoch Miad Esav. We find by the Bris Beit Absorim that when Avram entered into the covenant of the parts, Hashem told him to take certain species and cut them in half. And it says at the end, it says V'tor v'gozel. Tor is a dove, gozel is a pigeon. So the Midrash says each one of these species represent one of the exiles. Who's gozel? Gozel is Edom. Why is Edom compared to Gozol? Shegozlan das abrios. Because they mislead and they have a level of deception and they miss people. They mislead people. That is their art. Gozlan das abrios. That was the forte of Esav. Gozlan das abrios. And Yaakov understood it firsthand. And because he understood it so well, therefore, when he prayed to be protected, it's miad ochi miad Esav. I know he, my brothers, but he's Esav, and because he's Esav, and if that is the problem, I'm in a very precarious position. Because he can disarm me with his warmth and with his guile and with his deception, and if he does that, I'm finished. My life is over.